I'm Mark Scalero, the owner of MS Classic Cars. Today, I'm extremely excited to present you the most special 1969 Camaro Z28 that we've ever had at MS Classic Cars. This particular vehicle is not only a Jerry MacNeish certified car that was beautifully restored, but it has 483 original street miles, and it is the famous, well-known Pizzi Camaro. So to start off this presentation here on this car, this is a non-rehearsed video. There's a lot of information to talk about during this video, so bear with me. Again, it's really important that you visit our website at msclassiccars.com, read the entire description that I wrote. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of information that I don't communicate about this car with you here today in the video. So make sure again to check that out. Also check out all the photos that we've done. Corey does a great job with all the photography. We do a ton of photos, and we present a lot of documentation and everything that we're going to discuss here today. So let me start with the story of this car and where it all kind of began. I'm going to refer to this binder. As I've mentioned in previous videos, at MS Classic Cars, I create a new binder with plastic sleeves for every vehicle that we sell. Talking about 69 Camaros, it's one of our fortes. We're very proud to have owned some of the best Camaros in the world. We've had multiple legends. I've had 5 legends. Legends are cars that have been awarded the highest level through the Camaro Association. They've scored gold at the Nationals. They've went on to the Legends. All the top judges in the country invite just a very limited amount of cars. The last time I researched it, there's 29 Legend Camaros. So once again, I've owned 5 of those 29 cars. So again, I've had some very special cars. So for me to say this is the most special Camaro Z28 that I've owned, that's a really big statement. So I'm going to get into some of the history of this car and why I would tell you that it is one of the most special cars I've owned. So again, getting back to this binder here, I create all of these binders for every car that we sell. I go through and I put everything into order here with plastic sleeves. And again, we provide a service document here. Whether somebody plans on driving the car or whether they don't drive the car, you can be rest assured at MS Classic Cars I have spent the time going through this car mechanically from top to bottom to make sure that everything is in great working order for the new owner. We're the only dealership who does it this way, and the only dealership who documents it with an invoice. So that invoice is here. We've pictured it within our description. Make sure to check that out. So in this binder, the first thing I'm going to start off with is the NCRS. This is a shipping data report. This basically just tells you when the car's actual production date was, which was May 12, 1969. It tells you where the original dealer was. It says name and address was Weed Chevrolet, and that was in Bristol, Pennsylvania. So the car is accompanied with this particular document here. It even has the envelope in which that document came in. So talking about the history of this particular car, a gentleman, Americo Liberatore, whose nickname is Butch, I'm going to refer to him as Butch throughout this entire presentation. He actually was a lineman mechanic at Weed Chevrolet, and from what I've gathered, just from the information that was passed along, this Camaro was the only Z28 that was delivered to the dealership in 1969, and he got it for himself. He actually ordered this car kind of a bare bones setup, if you will, in the sense that it doesn't have a clock, it doesn't have, console gauges, it doesn't have a cowl hood. He really wanted to, even the radio on this was a radio delete car, because when he ordered it, he had every intention of racing it. That was what the plan was from day one. So what he did when he got the car, which again, some of the information here that's listed within our description will clearly document some of the paperwork here shows this is actually the GM 1969 new vehicle warranty and owner protection plan. A lot of people refer to this as a protector plate, and as the protector plate indicates, his name is here, his address is here, the VIN number of the car is here, and the delivery date is here as well, which is June 9th, 1969. So again, it clearly documents his information, the selling dealer being Weed Chevrolet. We pictured this within our description. It's actually stamped right here. This is actually a pretty rare thing to find in a 69 Camaro, especially an authentic one. A lot of people reproduce these, but this is actually a real one. So what he did, shortly into the early 70s, he started to make this car set up and everything for racing, and went through the whole thing, including at that particular time unplugging the speedometer. When the speedometer was unplugged, it had 469 original miles. So then what he did is he campaigned the car with Weed Chevrolet on the exterior, and you can maybe see in the background here, we kind of put these two poster boards here. You can actually see kind of what the car looked like when it was being raced up top here. You can see how it says Weed Chevrolet in the back on the rear quarters. And what he also did is he teamed up with racing legend Tony Pizzi from Tony Pizzi Automotive. Tony was a extremely well-known racer, and he accomplished a lot in the racing world. So shortly after they teamed up, they made a decision to actually pull the original motor transmission out of this car. They changed the rear end, set it aside, and they actually put a big block in this car. They modified the classes that they were racing in, and they went on to set world records. So this magazine right here, which is actually Super Stock and Drag Illustrated magazine, which was actually published in April of 1972, clearly shows this particular car. And I'm going to get into some of the parts and everything that are included with this car, but you can kind of see where they added the ladder bars in the back. We actually still have one of the ladder bars, which is really cool. You can again see the number of the car, which was 1708. You can see all the decals and things like that. This article is available to read on our website. This magazine's included. It's also on the poster boards. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article here just really quickly. It's just a couple sentences in the paragraph, but it clearly documents what this car accomplished. So Tony responded to the challenge with a 396, 375 horsepower motor. It not only silenced the troops, but sent them away mumbling. Presently holding both ends of the world record at 11.35 and 128 miles an hour, the car recorded a best 10.99 at over 127 miles an hour. From in legal trim and 7-inch tires, backup for this run was equally strong at 11.02. So you can see the secrets of a 10.9 Camaro. Again, everything is documented. They even have the official card. We don't have the original card, but we actually have it pictured here in the magazine. So at this particular time, as of April 1972, this car was a 2-time record holder. That is a very big deal. It says right on the board there, 2-time National NHRA Record Holder in ETA and miles documented. So I didn't research any further above 72 to see if and when that record was beat, but what I can document is the information I just provided. So this car is a true legend in itself. It's a very, very big deal. So from the information that we gathered, the story after the car was raced, sometime around 1974, he retired the car. Keep in mind that the odometer still read 469 miles. The only time that this car had been driven prior to it being raced was just during the time that he had bought it when it was new, a very short time. How many miles were accumulated on the car when it was making passes down the quarter mile? I don't know, but I would assume that it wouldn't be more than, I don't know, maybe 20, 30, 40 miles, whatever the case might be. So this car truly has extremely low original miles, and I'll kind of finish the rest of the story and lead up into where it is today. So back to the vehicle. It sat in his garage for many, many years, in the original owner's garage. The car at some point was painted, again, during that time frame. It was black, it had gold and stuff like this, and eventually the car went to look like you see it in the picture there of Butch and his wife, where the car has actually been pulled out of the garage. That was in 2018, and you could see where they had started doing some work to the fenders, to the body, and never got around to really finishing the car. So the car was sold to a gentleman in Pennsylvania in 2018 who actually owns a body shop. He's had prior experience with restorations. He bought the vehicle, and his intention was to bring it back to its glory days and make it something that was just absolutely spectacular, and that's exactly what he did. So part of his arrangement, which I thought was really, really cool, is he had Butch, Americo Liberatore, actually go under oath with Blum & Moore, which is a firm in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, and this is the original copy of the statement under oath. And what this is this is an interview between the gentleman that we purchased the car from, who was the second owner now, and the original owner. And he asks him all of the questions from the beginning to the end of the entire history of the car, documenting a ton of information here. So what we've done is we've actually taken pictures of this report and we've put them within our gallery on our website, NMS Classic Cars. You have to check that out. This report is included with the sale. Not only is the original one included, but there's also a copy as well. So that, again, this clearly documents the story of the car. Once he got the car home, oh, by the way, before I forget, there's also an original Weed Chevrolet keychain that is included with the car as well. So when he got the vehicle home, he started the restoration. He actually went through the entire car, put it on a rotisserie, started working on all the sheet metal, prepping it for paint and so forth. I'm going to go into the exterior, interior, engine, undercarriage details in just a minute, but I just wanted to make sure I touch base on kind of finishing up here the whole story. You will notice that up in the top corners of this board here, we don't have copies of this because those had to be turned in when he applied for his new title. And the second owner, when he got his new title, it is a Pennsylvania clear title that shows 469 miles. So again, it was previously titled in Pennsylvania. It still has a Pennsylvania title. Really cool, all that information is here. But the original title was taken from the DMV when he went to get the vehicle titled. So there are copies on this board here. There's one there, there's the back side there. Again, there's some pictures of the vehicle in the magazine. There's pictures of it on the racetrack. We have pictures of it on the racetrack within our gallery that we've pulled from internet archives and things like that. So again, just putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. Just an absolutely amazing story. To think that this was a one-owner vehicle until 2018 is extremely, extremely impressive. To think that this car only has 483 original street miles is extremely impressive. But now we can talk about the restoration. So I'm going to get into the Jerry MacNeish report throughout this presentation here. I'm going to flip to his page. Jerry MacNeish's report is included with this car, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and get into that. So starting with the exterior of the vehicle. During the restoration time frame, the only sheet metal that was replaced was the rear quarters, because the rear quarters of the car had been slightly modified during the racing time. They do that to fit bigger wheels in the back and things like that. So the outers underneath the quarters and stuff like that, some work was done there. But when we talk about the hood on the vehicle, we talk about the fenders on the vehicle, we talk about the doors, we talk about all the rest of the sheet metal, including the floors, it is original. The second owner who restored the car even told me that when they took off the black paint, it showed all the original green paint under the doors. So that was really cool. And in Jerry MacNeish's report here, he does say solid original floors in very good condition, only minor dents, no signs of rust. So they're clearly the original floors. And again, he does reference in some of his other comments about this car that it retains, original sheet metal and so forth, which is great. So he did an unbelievable job making the sheet metal as straight as possible. The hood opens and closes beautifully, so do the doors, so do the deck lid. Again, an amazing job. He finished the car in its original color of rally green. This car has the original VIN tag. It has the original trim tag. These things sometimes are reproduced, fraudulently with people. So one of the things that Jerry does is he verifies if they're real and authentic. Obviously, he put in his report that both of these are. So this car was born rally green. It's got beautiful white racing stripes. The paint job is of a higher quality. Because the car was literally finished in 2020, the paint still shows beautifully, and it's virtually flawless because it really hasn't been driven much since it was restored. So the body, again, is beautiful. The paint's beautiful. One thing I'd like to get into now is the decals. I thought this was a great idea when he was restoring the car. He said, I can do two things. I can actually paint all the decals on the car like you see a lot of X-Race cars that have been restored do, or I can make the decals magnetic. And what I can do is behind the actual advertisement of what it is, say, Weed Chevrolet is an example, he painted the back of the magnet, the back of this front face, rally green. So when the magnets are on the car, it looks like they're actually permanent when indeed they're magnetic and they come off. So what we did is we actually took a bunch of photos with all of the decals on this car. So if the new owner wants to present it with the decals, they can. If they want to present it like it was done from the factory, like it is right now, they could do that as well. So all of those magnets are included. Again, make sure you check those out on our website. That is one of the coolest things I thought about this car and how they kind of did that deal. I've never seen that done in the past. So again, I tip my hat to the gentleman who did the restoration. He's actually a really, really nice guy. So getting back to the exterior, a lot of the components on the exterior were replaced during the restoration. I'm talking about things like stainless trim around the windows. All of the glass was replaced. It has all brand new glass. The wipers were replaced. There's bumpers. We actually have original parts that are included with this car. You want to check out all the original parts, like we have one of the original bumpers as an example. But the bumpers were done. You get into lower moldings, you get into mirrors and things like this. Everything on the exterior of this car was either restored or replaced, and it is of high quality, and it looks absolutely beautiful. The car does sit on the original rally style wheels. It sits on the original style bias ply tires, which look excellent. Again, the outside of this car is absolutely beautiful. Now, making my way into the interior, here's one of the coolest parts about this car. Most of this interior is original. Because the car only has 483 miles on it, you would expect that a lot of this interior did not have to be replaced. Now, there was some things that just due to old age, he made a decision to replace, but it still has a lot of original features. So I'm going to read off of the Jerry MacNeish report. Excellent original interior. Door panels and carpet were replaced. Code 711, which is black standard interior, bucket seats. He put no console, no gauges. Again, on this board here, again, it shows only Z28 sold at Weird Chevrolet. It shows one owner until 2018. It shows the world records. It says that the original owner is still alive in Pennsylvania. It says the car retains the original spare and tire, which is in the trunk, which is awesome. It also says here that it has a keychain, and it says the car retains the original seats, not recovered. Some material on the seats as sold new. Original steering wheel is in the car. So again, the seats that I'm sitting in and the seats that you're going to look at in the photo gallery are the original seats from 1969. Just fathom that for a moment. We're talking about a car of over 50 years old that has the original seats. So we replaced this dash pad at some time. This had been replaced. We didn't like the way it fitted MS Classic cars, so we actually bought a reproduction dash pad. We actually replaced it. The guys did a great job. All the gauges and everything are original. A lot of this interior is original throughout. Again, like Jerry said, the door panels and the carpeting. This steering wheel does show a little bit of patina, but again, it's the original steering wheel. The headliner's in beautiful condition. Sun visors are in beautiful condition. Again, this is a awesome example of a mostly original interior. All the seat belts and things like that are in great order. So again, I can't say enough about that. Getting into the actual engine compartment. The engine compartment was done very factory correct in the sense that it was all finished in the correct shade of black. Obviously, it has the original matching numbers DZ302 engine. Great story about the engine. And I got to touch base on this because it's really important. And some of this information is documented in the statement under oath that at some point, Butch had decided to sell the engine. I think he said in his statement under oath that it was stupidity is what he said. At some point, when this car didn't really have a ton of value, he sold the engine. I guess he remembered, or the new owner investigated it further and was able to find the original engine to the car. It was an epic moment. He tracked it down. He had to pay the guy, I guess, a pretty penny to get it, but knew that it was available. He took it back. He completely rebuilt it and made it back to this car, which was great. So you can see in the pictures here that obviously that big block that Pizzi had done was long gone, and it did not have the engine in it at that time with that picture. But again, the second owner was able to buy the engine back, and it was really cool. The transmission and so forth, we'll get into that in a second, and we'll get into the rear end as well. And again, I'll read it right off of Jerry's report. So getting back to the actual engine itself, everything in the engine compartment has been restored to a very high level. This is definitely a show quality car throughout. I will make a note here that in the engine compartment, there are certain things that are not exactly correct. If someone was going to have this car judged, Jerry wrote on his report here on page 2, that the vehicle component issues, I don't know, there's probably 20 things on this entire car that he made note of. So as an example, he put reproduction brake booster on vehicle, but the original one is still with the car. So as an example, that's a reproduction brake booster. We took pictures of the original booster that's included. So again, for somebody who actually cares enough to make everything date coded and everything correct, they could spend the time to do that if they wanted to, like the brake booster as an example. So that information is included with the car as well. So this engine, I'm going to read it again right off of Jerry's report here. The engine, V0425DZ, assembly date 302, 290 horse, V8 engine. It's got the 618 casting. It's cast A169, VIN stamp, on oil Boss, original to vehicle. Some Camaros, depending on where they're built, have the engine stamp on the block, on the pad. Some of them have them down where Jerry's referring to. When it's in the casting, it's an area that you really cannot restamp. So Jerry looked at it and made note here, original to vehicle. So that is an awesome thing. Again, it retains the original motor that the car was born with. Getting into the transmission, again, I'm going to read it right off of Jerry's report. P9D29B assembly date, M21 Muncie 4-speed, number 660 case. VIN stamp is 475 units off, factory error, original to car. Again, he looked at the transmission, looked at all the numbers, and figured out that it was a mistake from the factory. This car actually was off by 475 units. Again, that would be near impossible to have ever found that transmission, considering that there was 2,302 Z28s made in 1969. So Jerry put on here, the transmission is original to the car. Talking lastly about the rear end, I mentioned I was going to say that in a minute. BM0927G1 assembly date, replacement 12-bolt axle. It has an 860NF casting, originally had axle code BU0403G. So the rear end of this car is not original to the car. So again, original, mostly original sheet metal, we have a mostly original interior, we have the original motor, we have the original transmission. That in itself is very, very special when you're looking at any Camaro Z28. I will also go on reference here and say that Jerry's report is included. There's multiple pages here. Page 3 of his report documents all the information I just talked about. As an example, the Z28 was retired from racing around 1974 or so, sat in Mr. Liberatore's garage until September of 2018, where it was sold to the new owner, etc. It also says here how important this car is because of its racing history. It really goes into even more information down here below, where it says it should be noted that high restored performance cars such as this 69 Camaro with documented racing history may command a higher estimated value than a standard Z28. This car qualifies under the vintage racing category. So again, Jerry MacNeish is a racer. He's got a lot of race history. I'm going to just read this real quickly here. This was off of Jerry MacNeish's social media page when he did this. First inspection of the trip since lockdown began. I'm now doing inspections and certifications by trips by car. Jerry's been to my dealership countless times. No plane trips yet. This Camaro is a very special Z28 stock eliminator car back in the day. It was bought by Butch, a line mechanic at Weed Chevrolet. Tony Pizzi, a legendary NHRA racer out of Philadelphia, set up for B stock, pulling out the original 302 and installing a 375 horse engine. The car was campaigned by Pizzi during the 1970s and got a lot of ink. He goes on here to say, nice to see another race car with history restored, going to be going up for sale shortly. This is where I bought the car. Original interior, sheet metal, spare wheel, engine transmission with nice docks, awesome history. I love my job. So once again, that's right from Jerry MacNeish, the expert in the business. It really doesn't get any better. He made some more comments here. So again, this car is really the most special Z28 that we've ever owned here at the dealership. The restoration quality is spectacular. You'll notice when you look at our photos within our gallery at msclassiccars.com, you will see how detailed the undercarriage of this car is. It's all been done in the correct coloring. They put the correct overspray. The overspray when the car was painted is supposed to kind of feather underneath the car. They did a beautiful job with that. He did the same thing on the bell housing near the transmission, where you can kind of see some of the orange fading into the silver. The exhaust system in this car's got a really, really sweet sound when you start it. It sounds beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and do that here in a second for you. But once again, I'm extremely proud of this car. It is definitely the most special car I've ever owned at MS Classic Cars. When we talk first generation Camaros, I cannot say enough about it. The plan as of now with this particular car is to sell it at no reserve. That means that the highest bidder is going to win the car at the upcoming 50th anniversary Barrett-Jackson auction, which is being held in January again in Scottsdale, Arizona. That is the plan at this moment. So what I would recommend doing is checking out our website from time to time over the next couple weeks. Once Barrett-Jackson assigns a lot number to this vehicle, which has not been done yet, at the time of this video, but it will be. You can go to our description, you can see what the lot number is going to be and when it's going to be selling. If you can't make it to the auction in person to bid, you can bid online, you can do it on the phone. Barrett-Jackson is very great for accommodating people doing that. I will make another note that Barrett-Jackson is a huge part of the progression of MS Classic Cars. I can't say enough about the organization and how many things that we've done with them over the years. We've had many, many epic moments, and I feel for Barrett-Jackson during this COVID situation that they've had to cancel some of their live auctions, but the 50th anniversary is something that we're looking really forward to at MS Classic Cars. I'm going to try to present at least 4 or 5 cars. This is the first car that I'm submitting to them as part of the collection, so I'm extremely, extremely proud. So again, please visit msclassiccars.com for a full description, tons of photos. If you have any questions between now and the auction, you can call me directly. We can talk over the phone, we can trade emails, whatever the case might be. Please also follow us on social media as well. We would really appreciate it. Thank you for watching this video. I know it's a little bit long-winded, but at the end of the day, this is a very special car that, in all fairness, deserved a great presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and start it right now for you. We did pull the car outside prior to this video. Corey made the comment, man, he said that thing is dialed in. It's been sitting for days. I literally pumped the gas, turned the key. By the time the key was in the on position, the car was running. Let it run outside for probably 2 minutes, hit the gas pedal, choke came down. It just sat there and it purred like a kitten. Right now we put race fuel in the car, so nobody has to worry about any ethanol gas. Because we've serviced this entire car and done everything from top to bottom, the last thing we want to do is put ethanol gas back in it. So right now it's got high race fuel, high test race fuel in it, and it sounds and smells absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and start it right now, let you listen to how beautiful it runs. It starts right up. You saw how fast it started. It absolutely purrs like a kitten. A lot of these high-performance engines are very temperamental. You can see how it runs. I'm going to go ahead and shut it off real quick. You see how there was no detonation or anything like that. I go ahead and flip the key. Again, it starts right up instantly. That's the kind of stuff you can't make up. That's what we do at MS Classic Cars. Again, I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much.